everybody, and welcome to Just for Women Africa. And my name is Olaleko Amuso, the founder of Just for Women Africa. And today, we're on a Zoom interview all the way from America. We have with us Baku Topman, who is the CEO of Miss Boss Lady International Group, and also has recently been hired by Essence Ventures, and who also happens to be the granddaughter of the former president of Liberia, William Tubman. And we're grateful to have her on the show. So stick around and we'll be right back. Okay, everybody, welcome back to Just for Women Africa. And we have with us Baku. Hi, Baku. Welcome to Just for Women Africa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on your new role at Essence Ventures as the Chief of Staff. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Could you just tell us a little bit about that role, being the Chief of Staff and the diasporic engagement? What does the role actually entail?
So, Essence Ventures, for those that may or may not know, is the umbrella company that has a portfolio of brands under it. And some of the brands include Essence Communications, and that's the more familiar maybe internationally with all of the brands. And Essence Communications is where Essence Magazine, Essence Festival of Culture, Black Women in Hollywood, and a host of other things sit under Essence Communications. We also have Afropunk, we also have BeautyCon, and then we also have Essence Studios. And what's exciting about that is when I first came on board as Chief of Staff to the CEO of Essence Communications, our goal was to, stabilize the business. But we always knew that the goal was to integrate all of the brands to sit under the Essence Ventures umbrella. A chief of staff to a CEO or anybody for that matter is very personal, depending on where the needs of the organization is, as well as the need of the CEO. And in a chief of staff role, you sort of play air traffic control. Your responsibility is to look at everything that's happening from about 50,000 feet above, and choose or challenges or situations that could possibly hinder the progress of an organization or an institution. The goal is to also help create amazing and incredible, efficient workflow processes for your executive leadership team to operate by, and to create better flows of work as well. So that's one of the things that the chief of staff does. From the diasporic engagement piece, we have our eyes set on making sure that we go global, and we understand that the value is by connecting the disconnected diaspora and bridging the gap between the global Black community, not only in Africa and the Caribbean, but all over the world. And the brands that Essence Ventures, that sit under Essence Ventures, have been very successful in building very loyal community. And we want to make sure that we do that globally, really with a keen focus on economic inclusion for our community. We are a service organization. And that's the way we look at it. We serve a community, and our goal is to make sure that we meet them where we are and have them thrive. We 100% believe that the women from the Essence side are the CEO of home, culture, and community. And our goal is to provide them with the tools that they continue to influence culture across the board. And we know that, we look at it in Africa, we look at it in the Caribbean. I don't care, from a market woman that sits in the market to an executive that sits in an office. That woman leads her house, she leads her community, and she leads culture. And we want to make sure that they have the support and the tools to thrive and grow the next generation.
In 2007, you moved back to Liberia. Why did you decide to move back to Liberia from the US?
Okay, that's a good question. So I was working in the United States, as I said, in the music industry, very successful. But that was around the time that Liberia had gone through several years of civil unrest. My mother had a few years prior, had also had a stroke. And I started to think about, parents getting older and What do I do to spend more time with them? And then the other thing that happened when I went to Liberia to actually one of my best friends was also getting married. So when I went to Liberia, I started to spend time there, back and forth. And I just saw Liberia as a blend. After many years of civil unrest, the country was finally getting to where there was a little bit of peace. Um, what I loved was the atmosphere, the feeling, the emotion of hope that the Liberian, and as an entrepreneur, um, I just saw a blank canvas that I could paint anything on that could be of service to the young people, to the creative industries, the things that I also had passion for. And so that was the moment where I understood like there's a place for me here. I didn't really know what it was then. I thought it was one thing, but once you got on the ground, it became something totally different. When you sit back, when you're not inside everything, we have a saying in Liberia, we say kuku jumoku. If you're not inside, you don't know. So when you're outside and you're looking at things, it looks like one thing, but when you're in it, you're like, oh, I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I thought that's what they needed. And it's not necessarily what they needed. It's just maybe the timing was off. So what I had to sort of pivot in terms of what was it going to look like and what did I need to do and what could I do to contribute to what was happening in Liberia at the moment in terms of helping the development from the private sector side.
Okay. Okay. Now, talking about the private sector side, I did read an article on you, and you talking about Liberia, and you did mention that the marketing industry in Liberia hasn't boomed as much as Nigeria and Ghana because of the smaller consumer population. Do you think it's really a matter of the consumer population or the fact that Liberians don't have the skills and the knowledge, to grow the marketing and PR environment?
Um, I definitely think it has to do with market size. That's one of it. But I think the other thing is Liberia has a lot of work to do in terms of getting the best exposure and education for the country. Again, I talked about the many years of civil unrest. And when there's civil unrest, education stops. People are just literally waking up every day to survive. And when the education comes back, we have underqualified educators. We don't have institutions that actually even, I don't even know of a school, and maybe I need to check in recent times, but in the last 2 years, there's not a school that even offers you an opportunity to have a marketing degree, right? Or even has a school that offers you PR and comms. You have journalism, but journalism is one part of what sits under a marketing umbrella. And so I think in the past 15 years, given the peace that the country had endured, people started to see it, and I don't know if anybody wants to give me a credit, but I'm going to take some of this credit. I started to do a lot of things that required marketing, PR, events production, and the young people started to gravitate towards that as well. They started to see that there's an industry. You didn't have to. When I first went to Liberia, you would ask young people, "What do you want to be?" And first of all, a lot of them had no idea. I had people tell me I wanted to be a mother, and I thought it was like a mother, like you give birth and you're a mother, because I think that's a great career. But what they were talking about really was like a mother in a church, which is also great. But a lot of them only wanted to do things that were about the home, or they wanted to work with the UN. Everybody can't get a job with the UN or in government. They were going to school for sociology. Why? They had no idea why they even wanted to go to school for sociology. So I think if you ask those questions today, it would change because of the evolution and all that, people like myself and others have been able to do on the ground in Liberia. So we have to expose people to what the world has to offer and how we bring those things back to Liberia, because the people live with very limited resources, from water, electricity. The infrastructure it needs to be developed a lot more, and we were making progress, and we need to continue to do more. But the market is small. People don't understand the value of those industries and of that industry. It's dealt with on one hand. Everything is connected to government, and the private sector needs to do more, and government needs to do more in giving the private sector an opportunity to thrive, because we can't only depend on government for growth. Private sector is where jobs are created. Private sector is where, people's lives are changed. Government can only employ about so many people. So marketing, PR, those are things that I think people are now starting to understand. And I don't even think that they fully understand it 100%. They deal with it like you have journalism, right? But you don't really have an industry that's there. Now you have a lot of people doing events. There's a lot of events company popping up. And what I love to see is some of the people that have these events are people that worked for me. So I love that that is the impact. And I love that they understand I can go and do my own thing, because that's what it's about. It's not about me. It's about how are you handing down tools, knowledge for people to also be able to be self-sustainable and also provide jobs.
All right, Baku. Could you tell us what is it like working in a male-dominated industry? How are you able to navigate your way through over the years? I know one way of it you mentioned was, calling yourself Miss Boss Lady International. But apart from that, I'm sure you had instances where you went for meetings or board meetings, and once they saw a woman pop up, they didn't take you seriously because you're a woman. So how did you navigate your way through those things like that?
You know what's so crazy? I have to give credit to my parents, right? I don't really feel like there's a room I'm not supposed to walk in. I don't feel like there's a conversation I can't be a part of. Um, and I also am not afraid of challenge, right? Again, when we just talked about what happens, what do you do if people don't understand that your value in terms of the marketing services? You got to educate people. You can't be afraid. Like we have to speak up so young girls and other people coming behind us have a different fight, right? We have to step in that room. And so I think the first thing I did is I demanded respect. I was willing to work for the respect. And I also had to deliver on the success, right? And so I think for me, I walk into a situation and I know people may say, who does she think she is? But I know who I am, right? I am there. I'm bold. I'm loud. I'm very loud, by the way. And I think I've mastered the art of building relationships. So I've been able to, and then I've always been the girl since I was young. I've always been the girl who was the girl's guy. I was always the girl who the guys did not mind to hang out with them. They would tell me stuff about their girlfriends. I have a way of penetrating the male mind in a way that they may not understand. And so a lot of my friends are also guys. And I try to educate them also. And basically, hopefully, how we connect, it allows them to understand that you can connect with women, because women bring a lot of value. A woman raised you, a woman gave birth to you. Like, don't ever take that for granted. So I'm loud and I'm going to make sure you pay attention to me. And I will make sure that I'm seen. And not everybody has the wherewithal to continue to push that. I think the world has evolved more along those lines. We see more women in leadership position and entrepreneurs, but they're still not even as close to where they need in terms of measurement with men. So one of the things that I did is, like, I just make you have to listen to me. You have to listen to me. And in the music industry, I manage mostly male clients. They trusted me because I showed up for them. Don't ever wait. I always say this. I always say to people, if you walk me to a door, that's why I don't care if that door is shut. I will open the door and I will take a step in and I will just keep going, and I'll keep going, and I'll keep going. And I think people should know that. Don't ever wait for anybody to hand you anything. You should know who you are, know what your worth is, and continue to push in that direction. Not always easy. You definitely hit some walls, but hitting those walls is not about quitting. Hitting those walls tells you to pivot. A no doesn't mean a no. To me, a no is a maybe. A no means let's pivot. A no means, you know what, they're just not ready. So it's really more about how you believe in yourself. And that's what I want young people, and that's what I try to teach my daughters and my son, is really build out that confidence, because I don't care who you are. Life is not easy. And especially being a Black woman, and that's the Black women globally, that we struggle. We are still at the bottom of the totem pole, although we have the most influence in the world.
All right, Baku, could you just tell us what is the future for Baku?
Oh, wow. I'm a big dreamer. I'm a very big dreamer. The future for Baku is definitely bridging the gap between Africa, America, the global Black diaspora. The future for Baku will continue to be. I feel like I'm a servant. I am a servant to my community. I am a servant to my family. I am a servant to my culture, and I want to be the catalyst for where I connect us in a way where we understand who we are as a people and the strength that that comes with. So the future for Baku looks. I think there's several different pillars, but I always say it's going to be driven purpose, impact, results. Whatever I do has to have a strong purpose. My purpose is to connect people. My purpose is to empower people. And I think if I stay true to whatever that purpose is, then I will have the impact. And with the impact, and then I will be able to measure my results. And I think my the catalyst, for entrepreneurial capital. I love being an entrepreneur. I love the creative industries. I know the value of what they are. I think, they are some of the things that really move me. And I want to make sure that my future entails me helping to create platforms in different ways, physically, digitally, globally, that really provides tools for young women and girls to be their best selves.
All right. Well said. Okay, Baku. As we round up the interview, could you just give us what's your advice to women out there who feel it's a man's world, who feel that they get sexually harassed, who feel that they need money to be able to get to the next stage? What's your advice to women out there in Africa and all over the world?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I want all women and young girls to know, especially young Black girls, especially them young girls in Liberia, in Africa, Ghana, and just Tanzania, the Caribbean. I just want you to actually know that you're born with a gift. You're born already empowered. I just am praying for the day that you meet up with your potential and you don't miss those opportunities. Who you think you are and who you really are, I can't wait for that to meet up, because by virtue of you being on this earth, you already have a purpose. I pray that everybody discovers what that is, regardless of where you are. I always say your present reality should not dictate your future and your end goal. So wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, look around, examine yourself, find your own I am statement. I am whatever you think you should be, but make sure you pat yourself on the back, give yourself grace. Don't compare yourselves to other people. Everybody's situation is different. The grass always looks greener on the other side, but it's not necessarily the case. So the big thing I want people to walk away with is, create your own I am statement, own who you are, be proud of who you are, where you are, because God will not give you more if you can't even be good with where you are right now. But always know that there's a way to go up, and take advantage of that. Build relationships. I think relationships are the key to success, regardless of where you're going.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I got another one. I got one more. Surround yourself with people who are better than you. Don't be afraid or intimidated by people who are better than you. Don't always be the smartest person in the room.
That's a good one. Don't always be the smartest person in the room, and surround yourself with people who are better than you. Thank you so much, Baku, for being on the show with us. Really appreciate it. We just look forward to interviewing again in
Thank
future.
you so much for having me. Absolutely. Thank you so much.